Well, opinions coming from anti-Kyle experts have all but disappeared on social media. Thomas Claire Binger has screwed this thing up so much that people have found other things to get interested in rather than going on and making videos about why Kyle Rittenhouse should be convicted. And so if you're wondering why haven't you seen some really good, juicy videos coming out by the left, that's why. They don't want to hitch their wagon to Thomas Claire Binger's horses. However, a few still fall through the cracks. One of the worst we'll hear from is David Henderson. He's a lawyer and he's about to make a fool of himself. Hello out there. I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnnie Walker Dredd to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnnie Walker Dredd Show.
Okay, so we have another lawyer. Oh, God. I'm telling you, my opinion towards lawyers has plummeted over this deal. They get up on these shows and they show they don't know what they're talking about. And so we're going to bring up a former prosecutor and civil rights lawyer to talk about gun laws and self-defense. Does that make any sense? Of course not. There are plenty of self-defense lawyers out there that you could contact if you want really good expert testimony, but they never bring them in. And you know why? They bring in the civil rights lawyers because they know the angle they're going to take, and they know that they're going to be able to get the comments that they want. So this is MSNBC. Yeah, they're not going to have Andrew Branca on their show anytime soon. And it doesn't matter if even Andrew Branca shows up at their doorstep and offers to do it for free. He is the self-defense expert in the country. They are not going to let him anywhere near one of their microphones. Instead, we get David Henderson. Let's hear what he has to say.
Let me ask you, just to that point, if you were representing the defense here, would you advise your client, Mr. Rittenhouse, to take the stand?
Craig, 100%.
Oh, man. After watching this trial so far, I can understand why you want to put Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand to some extent. He's a young kid. He's going to come off really well. The jury is going to go, oh, he's just like my son. You know, they're going to have very strong emotional ties to a kid who's got little chubby cheeks and he looks really, really young. Furthermore, he's in the right. He's innocent. And I think he's going to go ahead and tell everybody what happened that night. But there's always a risk. And are you going to risk it at this point? I wouldn't, simply because Binger has totally failed at every aspect of this trial. But if they put up Kyle Rittenhouse on the stand, I can understand why. But it's certainly not a gimme.
I think that whenever you kill someone and you're claiming that you were justified or that you weren't setting out with lethal intent to kill someone, you almost have to take the stand.
Well, that is terrible advice. You kill somebody, you should always take the stand. Are you kidding me? It depends. It depends on how much evidence they have amassed against you. Taking a stand is risky, and often it's the wise choice, but most lawyers kind of advise against it, unless things are not going well.
The problem with this case, and this builds off what Greg is saying, is that legally they've got Kyle Rittenhouse, and that's
Boy, he really hasn't been paying attention. Almost nobody agrees with that. Even those on the left are saying, yeah, the little bastard's going to get away with it. They're making preparations for it now. They know what they're seeing. The evidence is starting to unfold, and all those opinions that they had formed are starting to come unglued. We now have far better looks at the lunge of Joseph Rosenbaum. And these people who are anti-Kyles are seeing for the first time that, whoa, yeah, it looks like Rosenbaum did get kind of close to him. And it does look like he's trying to get his gun. They were fed a whole bunch of lies before that Kyle was walking around shooting people. But now it's not so obvious to them. It's obvious to us, of course. We've known all along. But the prosecution's case is starting to untangle really badly for them. And so this guy comes on here and says, oh, well, Binger's got this thing won. His expertise has saved the day for the prosecution. I think even Thomas Claire Binger would tell you things are not going well.
That's made very clear, especially with the way people are interpreting Grosskreutz testimony from yesterday, but the juries don't care about the law.
Oh, wait a minute. Gaige Grosskreutz's testimony yesterday reinforced the prosecution's claims that Kyle Rittenhouse is guilty? Really? Nobody's saying that. Those on the left are saying, yeah, that was a bad idea. They're disheartened. They really want Kyle convicted. They don't care if he's innocent or not. They want him convicted. And they felt that Gaige Grosskreutz really let them down. But not him. He fully believes that Gaige Grosskreutz went up on the stand and just dazzled the public with his portrayals of what took place. This is called bias. This is an extraordinary amount of bias. He can't even see the truth.
Trials are about storytelling. And the way this is tilting lets you know that Rittenhouse has to take the stand and say, listen, yes, I shot these people. I killed 2 of them, but I did it in self-defense. Without that, his lawyers can't pound that home during their closing arguments.
Oh, boy. Okay, he's entitled to his opinion, whatever it's worth.
David, the medical examiner is right now talking about some of the wounds that he observed on the men who were killed. He said Anthony Huber died from a gunshot wound to the chest. Here's one exchange.
And were you able to determine the cause of death to Mr. Huber?
Yes.
And what was that cause of death?
Mr. Huber died from a gunshot wound to the chest.
And is that an opinion given to with a reasonable degree of medical certainty?
It is.
Why are those details so important, David?
Wait till you hear his response, everybody. Now, what did the medical examiner say? Anthony Huber died from a gunshot wound to the chest. Yeah, we've all known that for over a year. Was that ever in doubt? We knew it. We all know why, because he pulled on the rifle like a dummy. Okay? The fact that he was shot through the chest doesn't really mean much. Neither side can really make hay of that. I mean, Kyle could be guilty and still do that, and he could be innocent and still do that. Now, you think David Henderson here is going to come back and explain to us why it was so important to have that medical examiner on the stand because of the testimony he gave? No. Listen to his reason why it's important to have the medical examiner there. Oh, this is good.
Well, Craig, here's the issue with medical examiners generally. We always think of John Quincy, MD or CSI, and most of them are not like that. They spend their days in a cold room dealing with cadavers, and their personalities tend to reflect that. You want to call them in to do exactly what he did, just establish what the immediate cause of death was. The reason why it's important is because Kyle Rittenhouse actually showed a high degree of skill with his rifle. It's clear that he was shooting for center mass. He was shooting with lethal intent, and that's why he killed the 2 people that he did.
So part of the reason why we have to have that medical examiner get up on the stand is we got to let them out once in a while. They get down in those dark corners of their labs and they don't get any sunshine. They don't get any recreation. And here's a chance for him to come out in the sunlight and exercise a little, stretch a little bit and get out into the public and talk to people. That's really important. And of course, the other one is that this somehow proves intent. Okay, I'm not sure why. Keep in mind, he's also saying that Kyle Rittenhouse displayed incredible skill with that rifle. He's like an anti-BLM commando. Whereas Thomas Binger was trying to tell us that it's reckless endangerment because he was handling the rifle improperly, that he was reckless with the rifle. He didn't know what he was doing. So which one is it? In the case of Joseph Rosenbaum, it's all about recklessness. He's inexperienced. He doesn't know how to handle a rifle. Like, what's this? Oh, I don't know. If I pull the trigger, he fires it off. That's what happens. Oh my gosh. That's how inexperienced he is. That's why we have to find him guilty, because it was reckless of him to walk around with a rifle he didn't know how to handle. But when it comes to Anthony Huber, he displayed incredible skill with that rifle, aiming center mass right through the heart. That's how the left is doing this.
This testimony plays directly into that so that you can argue it that way during closing arguments.
Based on, David, what you've seen and heard so far, again, important to note here that we have not heard from the defense yet, but I mean, what do you make of the case that the prosecution has made so far?
Craig, what I make of this more than anything else is poor witness preparation of Grosskreutz yesterday. It should have come as no surprise that he approached Kyle Rittenhouse with a gun.
Poor witness preparation of Grosskreutz, when before he was talking about how Grosskreutz reinforced the prosecution's case against Kyle Rittenhouse, that it was a big win for the prosecution, but now it's poor preparation.
It should have come as no surprise that the jury might interpret that as being aggressive. And let me tell you why that's a problem. If you had an active shooter in a school and a teacher raised a gun at that shooter, no one would think, oh, the teacher's in the wrong. You'd immediately know the teacher was in the right to defend the students against the.
Oh, we're going to compare Kyle Rittenhouse to an active school shooter, a person wandering around the halls, shooting everybody he can. That's just like what Kyle did.
Active shooter. But for some reason, people didn't see Grosskreutz that way when he testified yesterday, who were watching the trial from the outside. You had a situation where Rittenhouse is running down the street with a gun. People are pointing at him saying, hey, he shot those people. He shot those people. Under those circumstances, Grosskreutz was justified in using lethal force, but the people watching the trial don't see it that way.
Under no circumstances is the situation he described allow one to use lethal force. Boy, that is really bad advice. And people might act on this. You hear, hey, this dude shot somebody and he's got a gun. That means you could open fire on him? I mean, you didn't see the original event. You don't have any direct information that the person has done anything wrong. Now, with an active school shooter, there's a little bit of a difference because guns are banned on campuses. The fact that somebody walking around with a gun is much different than somebody walking around with a gun in Kenosha, where half the population is armed. And so it's easier to surmise that a person walking around with a gun in a school where you've heard gunshots is probably almost certainly an active shooter. But in this case, you can't make that assumption at all. But most importantly, you have to go to the Wisconsin statutes. Kyle is running towards the police. He is not pointing his rifle at anyone. Wisconsin law does not allow you to just open fire on him. If you shoot and kill him, you could be facing murder charges. In some states, it wouldn't matter even if he was a killer. If he's not actually threatening somebody at that moment, you can't shoot him. I mean, everybody's talking about vigilante. Oh, Kyle was a vigilante. Well, if you see somebody running that you think has committed a serious capital crime, and you open fire on him without trying to detain him or arrest him or calling the police, that's vigilantism. Now, is vigilantism acceptable in such a circumstance? Maybe. It depends on the law. Vigilantism is not necessarily illegal. And by the way, Wisconsin doesn't have a vigilante statute. The term vigilante has no meaning in Wisconsin law. So I would urge everybody to ignore this asshole and look up your Wisconsin laws on self-defense before you get a gun. Know what you can do and what you can't do. And if you think somebody has committed a crime, even a serious crime, even a murder, and you pull that gun and shoot him, you're going to be in Kyle Rittenhouse's shoes. And you better damn hope that he did commit a murder. And even then, you better damn hope that the law still supports you. I have no idea where this guy got his law degree, but to get on a show like this and indicate to people that it's acceptable to shoot somebody who's fleeing because you think that they have committed a capital crime, that's insane. They need a disclaimer on this.
And that perception is what carries the day with the jury. That's what makes me concerned about the outcome of this case.
That's what makes me concerned about the outcome of this case. What he's saying is, I want Kyle Rittenhouse found guilty. And I'm concerned that the evidence is going to come out that shows him innocent. That worries me a lot. So in other words, it's not about searching for the truth or innocence of the accused. It's about prosecuting somebody you want convicted. That's why I've been saying this all the time. They don't care if Kyle's innocent. They want him convicted anyway, because it represents a political victory. The thing that would hurt them the most is for Kyle to get exonerated and have that thrown back into the face of the people who were defending him. It's just like having your favorite football team lose. That's how they're treating this. This is like a big sporting event, And what's on the line here is not a national championship trophy. It's about political pride. That's what this is all about. It's politics.
Good, Henderson. We'll leave it there with you. Thank you, sir. Gabe, keep us posted on the trial itself.
Yeah, don't. We don't need your opinions. You probably don't know half the stuff that went on in the trial, and it wouldn't matter because you're heavily biased anyway, and you're on a channel that's going to promote this bias. MSNBC is always going to promote anything that tries to put Kyle Rittenhouse behind bars. Like my videos, subscribe to my channel.